Hello there, everyone. How you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going into r/petty revenge, where the revenge might not be fantastic, but I'll be damned if it isn't petty. If you enjoy, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and maybe share this video with some friends. Now, without further ado, let's get started, shall we? My neighbor kept parking in my driveway, so I parked behind him and went out of town. My neighbor's been parking in my driveway for months. I've asked him not to a bunch of times, but he always goes, "It's just for a second," and shrugs it off. I came home last Friday and yup, there he was again. Only thing was, I was heading out of town this weekend. So I pulled in behind him, locked up, grabbed my stuff, and left a couple hours later. I had a bunch of missed calls and a text like, "Dude, what the frick?" But I didn't answer it. I hope you had a relaxing weekend to think things through. The neighbor let his dog poop on my lawn daily, so I launched a neighborhood smear campaign, literally and figuratively. This happened a couple years ago when I bought my first house in a chill little neighborhood. Everything was great except for one thing. My back neighbor, Rick. Rick's the kind of guy who owns 2 grills but no shirts, drinks Coors Light in the driveway, and at 10 a.m. thinks property lines are just a suggestion. Rick also had this massive golden retriever named Duke. Duke was cool, friendly, but had a very specific habit. He loved to drop the nastiest logs right in the middle of my lawn. Not near the sidewalk, no, no, no. Not behind a tree, no, no, no. Dead center, like it was his sacred spot. Every damn day. First couple times I figured maybe Rick didn't realize it, so I walked over, super polite, and asked if he could maybe keep Duke on a leash or at least scoop the poop when it happened. Rick, wearing a tank top that said, "Weekend Warrior," looks me dead in the eyes and goes, "It's all nature, bro. You don't own the earth." "Oh, we're doing that then, alright. I see how it is, So I tried the normal stuff. Patched the fence, put in a motion-activated sprinkler, even tried some citrus deterrent. Nothing worked. Rick actually laughed when he saw the sprinkler on and said, "Nice try, but Duke's built different." Cool. I'm built different too. And here is where the revenge happens. I start collecting Duke's turds in a Home Depot bucket, lined it with a trash bag, used a scoop, add a little water for aesthetic reasons. After about 2 weeks, I had something that looked like a cursed soup. One Saturday morning while Rick was out, I took that bucket and painted the border of his yard, sprinkled it like fairy dust right along his deck and around his precious fire pit area. He came out later that day, sniffed the air, and went, "What the hell is that smell?" I was sitting on my porch drinking coffee like, "Well, it smells like nature." But wait, it gets better. We have a neighborhood Facebook group. I started posting lost dog poop updates every time Duke hit my yard. Found! Steaming hot dog present near my mailbox. If this belongs to you, please collect your property before it fossilizes. Thank you! Then I started putting up my little "Do Not Poop Here" signs, made out of popsicle sticks and toothpicks, complete with glitter and googly eyes, all over the lawn. I made them in weird passive-aggressive haiku form. "Dear Duke the Pooper, this is not your golden throne. My grass feels betrayed." Rick was not amused. He actually stormed over one day and yelled, "Are you trying to make me look bad?" I just blinked and said, "Buddy, dear buddy, old pal, you're doing that yourself." After all that, the neighborhood fully turned on him. A couple other people came forward and said Duke had been leaving surprises in their yards too. Rick ended up having to build an actual fenced-in dog run and started walking Duke on a leash like a normal human being. Wow! Progress! Anyway, me? I still leave signs, little haiku signs for fun. TLDR, neighbor let his dog use my lawn as a toilet. I turned it into a public shaming campaign with poop-themed art and passive-aggressive poetry. He now walks his dog like a responsible adult. Victory smells like fresh-cut grass and not like dog crap. And we have somebody in the comments who has a story of their own. I had a neighbor that did this. After repeatedly asking them politely to keep their dog out of my yard, I started picking up the poop, putting it in a bag, and leaving it in their driveway. That still didn't stop them for some reason, so I left the bag on their front porch. That still didn't stop them, and I finally started throwing it from my shovel all over their front yard. Think of a bunch of shit confetti in the grass, flower beds, and on the siding, you name it. And then, and only then, it finally stopped. It's kind of hard to believe, but that's just how it goes. I inadvertently may have screwed my ex over financially. Backstory, my ex and I have been together for 4 years and we broke up this past January. Our breakup was amicable, we were simply on different paths in life, but it crushed me emotionally because it was out of the blue. We lived together for 3.5 years, moved across the country together, and were financially intertwined. All these factors, and you can imagine I believed we were in it for the long run, but he didn't feel the same way. It's been about 6 months now since our split. We have not spoken since April, and we stayed amicable and cordial for the first couple of months, so we still talked. I moved out in February. One of the conversations we had was about his car insurance, and I asked if he can remove me from his policy by the end of May, even though having me on his policy was keeping his insurance rates low. We live in Southern California, so those rates are stupidly high, and you have to do what you can to get a good price. I also asked that he started making payments to me by July because he owes me money for his part of our move from the East Coast. A down payment for his BMW that he's got the insurance policy on, and our entire trip for his sister's wedding. A weekend in a different state because he was not able to pay for it at the time, and I didn't want to use his credit card. At the time, he agreed. Our fallout started when he asked me to help him move out of the apartment we shared to one across town where he will share with a roommate to alleviate the financial burden on him. I made 2.5 times more than him, so financially I was okay, and I refused. It genuinely hurt me that he would ask me for anything, considering he was the one who broke up with me, and I expressed that clearly. He then blocked me when I told him he didn't deserve me as a friend, and that was that. It took months of healing from a broken heart, but I'm in a good place emotionally now. Now it is July. I have not heard from him, nor do I want to. He has not paid me back the money he owes, but I know this financial situation, it's not great. It crossed my mind to see if he had been removed from his car insurance policy, and I called the company, and sure enough, I was still on there. I felt a little betrayed, but I wasn't shocked. Again, insurance rates where we live are insane, so I get why he didn't do it, but I asked for the removal by the end of May in our conversation. I asked for the removal, and it turns out his insurance on his BMW went up by $200. A big, massive amount. I no longer have financial ties with him, and he's been blocked across social media and my phone. If I see the money, I see it. If not, this was an expensive lesson. His Netflix is still signed into my TV. I won't use it, but I hope he enjoys his shows in Mandarin before logging off for the last time. I know this is going to be really hard to hear, but he totally did himself a favor. God, English is hard. I know this is going to be really hard to hear, but he totally did you a favor by taking the trash out himself. He bought a BMW but can't afford insurance on it unless you were on his plan. He can't afford to not have roommates, yet he has a BMW. He blocked you because you openly and vulnerably told him that you are hurt. Yes, on the surface, it seems like he did you dirty. But as an internet stranger, you, my friend, dodged a bullet. Jesus Christ. As you wish, the title of our next story. Not sure if this is the correct sub, but definitely a fuck around find out situation. Now for background, to walk to the transit center, one must cross a big multi-directional intersection with an island in the center. Due to the traffic volume / flow, you can only cross halfway and onto the island, then wait for the next light change before proceeding all the way across. I was standing on the island, waiting for the next light, and hear a distinct clank sound. I turn around and see a young woman crossing the first part, wearing a big noise-canceling type headphones, and with her head in the phone. Immediately behind her on the ground is a wallet-type keychain, with keys and a lanyard attached to it. I said, "Hey," with no response or acknowledgement, and then said, "Hey, you!" a bit louder this time. There's still nothing. Now she's across the first part and standing a foot from me on the island. I wave at her and say, "Hey, you dropped," while pointing down at the wallet, but she rips her headphones off so fast and screams, "I have a boyfriend!" The light changes, and she runs across the intersection. I didn't even bother to try again, and she did say, "Don't talk to me." I look over my shoulder just in time to see the one-legged crackhead on the corner, bending over in his wheelchair and scooping up that wallet keychain and propel himself away. Sometimes people are actually trying to help you, not hit on you. But if you immediately start screaming, you will never know what they intended. And I'm going to end today's video here. If you enjoyed, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and maybe share with a friend. I don't know. And if you enjoy the new 3D model sort of thing, be sure to leave a comment on that, because I want to see if you're interested in more 3D model content. I may or may not have a worm on the string model for future use, but we will see. Bye-bye.